When protests erupt against Donald Trump, they don't gather at the Hyatt, they don't gather at the Marriott, they don't go to the Ritz-Carlton, they gather at the Trump properties, the Trump hotels. This isn't a political statement, this is a market reality. And in a city like Chicago, that puts Trump Tower in a unique position to lead the future of luxury and hospitality marketing. And in this broadcast, we are going to break that down for you. All right? Are we ready? Let's go.
So today we're going to dive into a really fascinating and honestly pretty provocative marketing argument. It's a case study about how one brand facing some pretty unique challenges might actually be in the perfect spot to completely flip the script for its entire industry. Let's unpack what that could look like. You know this language, right? It's the classic, polished, aspirational voice of high-end luxury. It's all about the building, the amenities, the views, the marble lobbies. I mean, this has been the playbook for decades. But here's the big question. We're living in an attention economy now. People actively, and I mean actively, avoid being sold to. We crave entertainment. We want connection, not sales copy. So does that old model even work anymore? Or is it time for something totally different? And that's where this really bold, strategic argument from digital strategist Gallegos comes in. For this explainer, we're going to unpack his thesis, which, you'll see, uses a very specific case study, the Trump Hotel in Chicago.
And here it is, the core idea. Gallegos basically argues that because of its unique brand position, this hotel is kind of forced to innovate in a way that its competitors just aren't. Now, it's super important to say this is purely a strategic marketing argument about how to get attention. It's not a political take at all.
The whole argument is really built on this powerful concept from a marketing expert named Grace Andrews. She was instrumental in scaling the massive podcast, The Diary of a CEO, and she calls her idea the Grand Central Framework.
At its heart, it's a huge shift in how you think. The idea is that your business isn't just selling a thing. You are a media company first. Your number one goal is to create content that people actually want to watch, that earns and holds their attention. The product? Well, that's just what you sell on the back end. Okay, so how does this apply to a hotel? Well, in this model, the hotel itself stops being the destination. Instead, it becomes the hub, the Grand Central Station, that connects you to the real destination, the entire experience of the city. The beautiful rooms, the spa, the pool, those are just cool stops on the journey. So what's the actual evidence for this pretty bold claim? Well, Gallegos builds his case on three main pillars. First, there's already an internal proof of concept. Second, what the Grand Central Framework would actually look like in action. And third, the hotel's unique position that kind of makes all this necessary in the first place.
All right, let's break these down one by one, starting with that first pillar.
So pillar number one is that the wider Trump organization has already seen a version of this media-first strategy succeed in a huge way. The presidential campaign's content on TikTok was super informal, it was personality-driven, and it was tuned into the culture. It proved that this exact model can work for this brand. And the numbers are just staggering. You're talking about a combined 30 million followers and almost 500 million likes. But this data isn't just about social media success. It's a huge internal proof of concept. It tells the organization, hey, this media model works for us, which dramatically lowers the risk of trying it in a new context like a hotel. Okay, let's move on to the second pillar, which is all about applying that Grand Central Framework. And this quote just says it all, right? The focus shifts completely away from the hotel's features and onto the guest's entire experience of Chicago. So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, instead of marketing the spa, you market the culture of the city. Instead of just showing off fancy rooms, you become the ultimate guide to Chicago's incredible neighborhoods. You stop selling a reservation at a restaurant and you start selling the memory of an amazing trip. You basically become the media company for the Chicago experience.
Now, the third pillar is about a very specific kind of urgency.
The strategist Liam Gallegos suggests that, based on his own experience, Trump-branded content might face some friction from social media algorithms, maybe get shown to fewer people. Now, the key point here isn't whether that's true or not, but that this potential challenge forces the brand to be way more creative and innovative than its competitors, who can just rely on standard ads.
So all of this leads to a massive competitive advantage. The opportunity here isn't just about doing better marketing, it's about being the very first to define a whole new category.
And just think about how quickly this could all happen. The brand that moves now gets to define the entire space. Within 6 months, competitors will probably start trying to copy them. But by then, it's too late. In a year, that first mover will already own the story of experiencing Chicago. They'll become the default choice.
And this is the real prize. This isn't just about getting a few more bookings next quarter. This is about owning a massive amount of mindshare. It means that when people even think about a luxury trip to Chicago, they automatically think of you first.
So let's step back from this one case for a second. What are the bigger lessons here? What does this mean for the future of building any brand, not just a hotel?
Well, the core takeaway, really driven by Grace Andrews' work, is simple, but it is so profound. In this day and age, consumers are just deeply, deeply allergic to being sold to. But, and this is the big but, they are absolutely starving for genuine entertainment, authentic connection, and content that's actually valuable.
And that all brings us to one last, pretty powerful question to think about. What if the future of marketing isn't about selling your product at all? What if it's about owning the story of something much, much bigger, like a culture, a community, or maybe even an entire city?
So it's not really up for debate. It's just the way things are. Whenever there's a protest, the Trump towers come under attack all throughout the country. In Chicago, here's Trump Tower in Chicago. And it's been my personal experience that whenever I do anything that has to do with Trump, in putting Trump in a beneficial light, not criticizing him, that my engagement throttles down. That's just my experience. Whether that's true over the entire market, I'm not making that claim. I'm just saying that's what I experienced. So logically, if am experiencing that, the Trump organization must also be experiencing that when it comes to marketing. So the answer is already been written. Okay? So Trump just dominated. He won the algorithm wars by creating content that was intimate and that was cool and that was never seen before, behind the scenes little tidbits that brought you into his world, right? During the campaign, tremendously successful, and Trump himself says that he believes that TikTok helped him win the presidency in the landslide that he did. So this idea of bringing people along a journey, taking your customer along, Enric Blatt calls it a football field. You're not in the marketing. You don't just constantly throw bombs from the end zone, right? You take people along a journey, yard by yard, down by down, right? So they get to know you, and trust is the currency that the world lives on. And so what does that actually look like? Well, let's take a look from the founder of this idea that marketing today is about sort of looking as your brand as a media company and looking at what you do and is like Grand Central Station, and you have avatars and you have destinations that you're trying to bring your avatar along. So there's a destination, there's stops along the way. So instead of me continuing trying to explain this, let's just hear it from Grace Andrews herself. Here we go.
If you just keep being consistent, you will just plateau. The actual formula for growth is consistency x experimentation. We went from 8,000 on YouTube to 13 million. This is the blueprint going forward for brands. So I start with Grand Central, like being the center of your city map, and that has got to be your why. Your why is your anchor, it's where everything starts, it's where everything comes back to, it's how the whole flow works. I go, okay, where do I want people to go to when they're in my city? So in New York City, you would go to Times Square, you would go to Statue of Liberty. So the destinations I want to get people to with my content is like increase my inbound speaking inquiries. So I want to like 10x my speaking. So that's destination 1. Destination 2 is book deal, and destination 3, I want to grow my YouTube subscriber base to 100K. So if we want to get to the destinations, we need lines that take us from Central Station to the destination. So your lines are what I call your signals. What are the signals that's going to carry someone from your why through to the destination? Currently, we've got all these people in Grand Central in your why. They've arrived because they're interested in your brand, but we need to know the right kind of people who we need to get onto each line. So now we need to think about the passengers for each line. So immediately we've identified like the audience that we're going to take along each line. And then we need to think about the stops along the line that are gonna keep people going. And the stops are your content formats. And we are trying to move people from the central area that they've arrived in and keep them on the line of interest. They take you to the destination. And these are your content pieces that are gonna do that. So it's like, okay, what are the formats that are gonna take a passenger along the line of credibility to reach the speaking goal? A lot of people think about the content they wanna create, and then they think, okay, how am I gonna measure it? They don't think about how it feeds into the wider network of your brand and how it's gonna build towards a goal over time. So it's all about goal, signal, content. It works backwards from there.
It's a glorious machine.
All right, taking people along for the ride. Taking people on a trip, on a destination. Team Trump has done it already. So the idea that Trump International, the brand, is uniquely positioned to lead the market is comes from the fact that the organization itself, right, the brand itself has already used this Grand Central Station idea, this brand as a media generator. It's already been done to great, awesome success. And so what's difficult, especially in a brand, like where your founder is president of the United States, you don't want to create any sort of crisis. You don't want to make any big changes in anything. You don't want to be another headache for the President Trump to worry about. So to make a big change, and what we're talking now is an absolute radical change in the way the hotel industry is being marketed and the way that the Trump International properties are being marketed today. So my argument is, because of the political climate, because necessity is the mother of invention, that if Trump hits the ground running in Chicago right now, I'm talking like today, The organization is in a unique position to redefine what luxury marketing is. And so, it's easy to talk, right? How about let's take a look at what would that look like. So here is the idea, this idea of Trump Tower in Chicago being Grand Central Station. All right, this is a Grace Andrews style content system, luxury Chicago city map. And then you've got the problem. Luxury hotel content is usually pretty boring. And so here we have the operating season to combat that boredom. And the Grand Central, right? The hub here. Let's define that. The hub, the Trump Tower Chicago, is the right arrival. Mecca. Make Chicago feel great again. Feel like a modern luxury capital again. Make Trump Tower the cleanest point of entry into its riverfront. The architecture, the socially affluent later. So the anchor is the hotel for the entire experience. Understand that? The hotel is the anchor. It doesn't have to be the Trump Hotel. It doesn't, it could be the Hyatt. It could be the Ritz-Carlton. It could be the Marriott. Who's ever creating the scroll so you see all of this awesomeness, and it leads back to the Hyatt or it leads back to the Ritz-Carlton. But the Trump Hotel is uniquely positioned because the old way of doing things, because it's connected to the President of the United States, are dead. It's over. You can't use the old things that aren't working, especially for the Trump hospitality brand. The old way just does not work. So you create an avatar. Who is this world for, this affluent world of Chicago? Well, it could be for the family. It could be for different types of avatars. I just am kind of throwing ideas out there, throwing spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks. So let's say Avatar 1 is the operator, the founder, the executive or builder, culturally alert, sees loud luxury as tacky, all right? Values a different access to social fluency, or the sophisticated couple, right? That's kind of self-explanatory. Or the affluent weekender, somebody who just wants to come in, have a really great experience and really awesome, enriching experience, and then get out, right? Or the modern patron who really wants to dig deep in all of the cultural, historical riches that Chicago has to offer. And then so here we go. We've got our destinations. So line 1, destination, terminus, architecture and the skyline authority. Line 2, destination, discrete dining and after hours tasting, right? Cultural access is line 3, and restorative luxury and private recite, right? You're not in the forest with the bugs and everything, it's a luxurious reset. It's a luxurious restoration. And so line 1, here's what it looks like, right? Architectural and skyline authority. Here's the content stops along the way. Let's see if I can get this so I can read it easier here. Yeah. The skyline views that matter. How powerful visitors enters the city. The signal. Chicago still impresses people who've already seen everything. And you build content to engage and to bring people, your avatar, along this destination. Discreet dining and after hours taste. Chicago is a culinary capital of the world. And so you have content which feeds this desire, that brings people along the stops along this line where this destination resides. Cultural access, social fluency, the Art Institute, the Chicago Symphony Orchestra under George Solti was one of the most revered orchestras in the world, and not to mention jazz, blues, house, the rich heritage of its the music that changed the world, and then absolutely the restorative luxury reset. And so those are just 4 avatars just kind of brought together in this idea, this hub and spoke, this grand central station idea. And this information is out there, and the brain that comes to the table, Marriott, a Hyatt, Ritz-Carlton, they have the same hierarchy that the Trump Towers do, but nobody is under the pressure that the Trump brand is. And so it makes them uniquely available to lay the tracks, stake the destination, and start building the content. All of this can be leveraged at lightning speed. And the brand who gets there first is going to own, the hospitality brand that gets there first is going to own the Chicago hospitality, luxury hospitality sector. Is going to own that vertical. All right. And so I'm making a personal pitch. I have a window of opportunity where I can help institute this Grace Andrews Grand Central Station framework. It won't take long. We get in there, we work really hard for a few months, and then it's basically going to have the framework where it can run itself. We can bring agentics in at the last stage to see what we can do as far as automation and fine-tuning it, and then it's just you get out, you refine your avatars, you get out into the neighborhoods, into the surrounding area, and the show is on. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you are part of the hospitality industry and you want to know more, my information is in the details. Feel free to contact me. I'm going to be pestering everybody over the weekend to find somebody I can do my pitch to see if we can get this new way of approaching the luxury hospitality industry, if we can get this framework nailed down and in motion. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I am the unofficial king of LinkedIn Live, so a little shameless self-promotion, and then we'll see you at the next live broadcast. All right, take care. Au revoir.
Unofficial king of LinkedIn.